Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Not a Strong Start, a show where we discuss movies, shows, video games, and honestly anything that we find entertaining. I am your host for today, inspired by real fruit flavors.
And I am your other guy. I am your other guy. Start spreading the news.
That was beautiful, George.
Remixed.
And I am Patria dying, dying.
That's pretty
Wait,
pretty epic. What?
Jose,
You in the back?
Yeah.
what real fruit flavor are you inspired by? If you had to be inspired by a fruit, if you were like a fruit, this is a weird question.
If you were
I'm just
fruity,
realizing.
what fruit would you be?
Yeah.
I will be a mixture of passion fruit, mango with a hint
Ooh.
of strawberry banana.
Ooh, passion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
Passion
it's
fruit all the way.
Yeah.
so that would
Hell
be
yeah.
it. And that's why it's flavors. It's a mix of everything.
Mmm.
Yeah.
Concoction.
Yeah. I'm gonna start calling you
Now,
Senor Parcha.
now, if you guys have not guessed, and if you did guess, it's weird because anything we discuss has nothing to do with the topics today. But today we're going to be talking about certain things, including game prices, Florence Pugh, game ownership, and some other things. With that being said, the first thing that I want to talk about was something that, it's been on my mind for a while and has been discussed over the last few months, and that is video game prices. The prices have been pretty standard for a while now. With a lot of the main system, PlayStation, Xbox, we're looking at about $70 dollar games is the standard overall. But there's been rumors for a while now, especially with GTA 6 coming out, that they might try to push the limits and might try to come out, take advantage of people's anticipation and come out with $100 game. So that's been popping around for a while. And then we recently saw Nintendo, which is coming out with the Switch 2, and they're increasing to $80 games overall, possibly setting the standard going forward because even Xbox now is talking about increasing their game prices on top of their console. So I wanted to discuss what everyone's opinion is on the state of video game pricing. Do you think it's justified to increase the prices? If it is, where should they be? Or should they remain where they are a little bit longer? So, George, we'll start with you on this one. What are your thoughts on the rumors and the increases that we have had lately?
It is goddamn egregious. I said that the amount of time because like price increase happen. That it's a given. We should expect it all the time. But like we just had a price increase to $70 with like the PS5 games and Xbox One games. And honestly that's so soon because like we just had what was it Tears of the Kingdom was a $70 game for Nintendo. That was their first $70 game regular, not collector's edition, nothing special, just a base game. And it's like you usually have to be a few years in before you have another like $10 or so increase. The fact that it's just like a year later or so, and we're already getting to $80 for Nintendo games, and then I didn't even know about the $100 thing for freaking GTA. F you guys on that one. What
Yeah.
the hell?
Just
This is
rumored,
true, but
but
I can
yeah.
see it happening because if this game's supposed to be as big as they're talking about, then it might deserve it per se. But like it's at a place nowadays. It's not like when we were young. Like I think I paid like or my mom, I should say my mom paid. I didn't pay. My mom paid like probably like $60 or whatever for like Final Fantasy 8. That was a 4 disc game that took me weeks to beat, and it had replayability. I wasn't waiting for DLC. I wasn't waiting for some patch to fix with some error that was happening. This was a completed game that I paid this much for. The fact that they're going to ask us for this much money, like I saw a tweet from the guy from behind Borderlands 4 bringing up prices, and it was like they're saying it might be $80 for that game, and he's like, you know what? It sounds like a lot, but if you're a true fan, you'll make it work. And that's, I'm paraphrasing what was actually said, but it's like, are you kidding me? Like, that's how you're treating your fans? People who are so loyal to this game that doesn't always come out perfect. that you dare ask us to pay this much? And these are a lot of times kids. Kids don't always have that kind of money. I know I didn't. So it's like I feel like we're not being appreciated and we're being taken advantage of. And I blame a lot of microtransactions for this kind of crap that's happening to us.
Before we go to you, Marie, looking at it is so the $70 game, I feel it's been standard for a while now. I feel like we used to see quicker increases in the past when it came generation to generation. So that one's been pretty standard, and but it's still my problem with the pricing of video games, I feel, is that it shouldn't just be a standard, okay, $70, and then that's like what everyone aims for, most people aim for because not every game is worth that much money. There should be a scale to these games. And every once in a while you'll see it with like double A titles and things like that where they come in at a lower price and it fits there. But a game that is, that you complete in like 20 hours and has no repayability, that should not be a $70 game. That should be a 40 or a $50 game. Things like that. So that's my problem with the standard pricing is that they'll try to throw the game up there at the highest max possible that's accepted without considering is that game worth that? So that's one of my problems when it comes to pricing. $100 game feels very ridiculous. And their argument for a lot of this is, well, the budgets for video games are going up. They're costing a lot more to create, so we have to increase the prices in order to, to work with the budgets of these games. But it's like, do you need to have a budget of that size for these games? We've seen plenty of games with lower budgets that are able to find success and are entertaining and fans love. So I think that's a you problem because you're ballooning the budgets of these games. And not only ballooning the budgets of these games, you're creating games that you're releasing broken or unfixed and you want us to pay max price. Now you want to increase the price even more so you can keep that budget that who knows what it's going to because it's not going to giving us a complete game at launch in there. And not only that, you're also ballooning the time frame to make these games. We some of these games are taking development time of 10, 12, 13 years sometimes and still come out incomplete. It's like I feel you need to work on giving us quality games at a decent release window where, you know, the visual capability of these systems, they've kind of plateaued. There's only so much more you can do. So the focus should be on the gameplay. And you give us that, you can lower your budget while doing that. And then you don't need to charge exuberant amounts. So that, I mean, that's kind of my thought process with this is their increasing of pricing. I feel it's a way of them dealing with a problem they are creating, not a problem that we are creating.
What bothers me the most is because they're upping the price of the game, of like the base game when it comes out. But for the majority of video games nowadays, that's you're going to spend way more than that because there's like microtransactions and there's skins people want to buy. There's seasons to everything now. Like, remember when
Hmm.
video games didn't have freaking seasons? Like, it makes me mad. But it's like my son will be like playing Fortnite and he's like, "Hey, well, it's $20 for the new thing. It's 20," and that's like every however. And it's like, how much is this game altogether? And sure, you don't have to buy that stuff, but I was talking to my brother about it in one of our episodes for that we did, is like now video games created their own class system, essentially. So it's
Yeah.
like you're playing a video game and you're like base skin and you're like base weapons and you're like this stuff and it's like people are like, oh, this guy can't get the diamond whatever skin, and it's like a class system in video games now, and it's sad. We used to like buy our video games, or our parents would buy us the video games when they could afford to buy us the video games, and it was like about us getting together and like that was our pastime and it was enjoyable, and now it's stressful. It's 100% like stressful now. And for kids, and my son's like, oh, I want the new Switch. We're like, save up for 2 years
Good
because
luck.
the new Switch is like what, 800? What is it? Something stupid. Like it's ridiculous. It's like in Canada, I
It's
It's
think
more
it's
than the
like
PlayStation.
700 or
it's yeah,
$800. Yeah.
it's gonna be at PlayStation prices.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
600, 5,
Yeah.
600
Yeah.
American.
Yeah, so here it's like 700 and something dollars, and it's just like we
Yeah.
it's
And
not
that's without
about
a game.
fun
That's
anymore.
without a
Yeah,
that's without the $80 game.
exactly. And almost like video games aren't for kids anymore. They're not for fun. It's like this serious, which I mean it's good too, but it's like eliminating one aspect of video games, just the fun, kids playing, getting together, pastime, and now it's just for like you got to be rich, you got to have a lot of money, you got to be older and like have a friggin' like bank account. Kids can't do anything anymore. And if they want something, it's like, okay, well, my friends have this. There's a lot of pressure on the parents too, man. Let me
Hmm.
tell you. Because it's like, well, my friends are playing it. It's like, well, what if we can't afford it? And like I'm saying, it's like a whole class system now, and it's getting out of hand. It's like almost depressing to a point. Normal people can't afford to play video games anymore. I mean, I have Xbox Game Pass, so it's okay. But then again, you're paying per month. I don't know. It's just that there's an ick feeling around video games now, and it's not the same. Oh, I wore the right shirt.
Yeah.
Game over, man.
Yeah,
Game
it's
over.
it's lost its accessibility for sure.
Yeah, yeah, totally lost its accessibility, and I don't know. It's all life's just getting kind of sad, and the price of
Yeah.
video games is like reflecting that too. And consoles, oh my God.
The value return just isn't there,
Mm.
anymore as it was before. A couple of the other stories that I did want to discuss, this kind of I'll just do those next because this kind of leads into it. But an example in one of the stories is so I'm not sure if you guys have heard of the game Expedition 33
Yeah,
that came out. Basically, this was created by a guy by Samfall Studio, created by a guy called Guillaume Broch or something like that. A French guy.
yeah.
He, he was an ex Ubisoft employee, and while at Ubisoft, he got this idea for this game. He was a huge Final Fantasy fan, so he wanted to do something that brought pretty much everything that he used to feel with those Final Fantasy games in the past. He wanted a game that can kind of bring out those same feelings, that same enjoyment that he loved. So it was a game for the passion of making a video game, not the financial advantage of making the video game, which you get with a company like Ubisoft. So what he did is he searched for help online. He built his team strictly online, going to Reddit, finding the people for his team. So he ended up leaving Ubisoft and creating Samfall Studio. So he created this game, Expedition 33, for a budget was under $40 million to create this game. And then on top of that, he came in when they they released it below that standard $70 price tag. I believe they released it at like 50.
I think
I think
so.
it was like
Yeah.
49.99. This game sold 1 million copies in the first 3 days. You know, and then even with the head start that they had on this game, Expedition 33, it not only delivered higher gross revenue, by its second weekend, but it also surpassed the daily users of Ubisoft's game, which was Assassin's Creed Shadows,
Yeah.
which came a little bit before. It took them 2 weekends to surpass them, and they had a head start. Shadows budget 250 to 350 million dollars to do this budget. And this is an example of kind of what I was discussing earlier is you have this game that critics are loving it. Fans are loving it. It's blowing up everywhere. I'm not a fan of turn-based games, so it's not a game that I would be attracted to. But people are loving it. The passion, the love that they put into this game, it's providing results. And they didn't need to do $100 million plus budget. They didn't need to come out at $70. And this game is making bank compared to the large studio that's making a game based more off of financial need, coming in at 70 is not even performing that well. So this is an example of going with the previous topic, shows us that they're doing too much. they're creating their own problem by ballooning these budgets and then trying to put the charges onto us. Uh, what were your guys' thoughts on that story, or have you heard of the game, Marie?
I haven't heard of it. I feel bad, but I haven't. But yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Like if the passion's there, that you need and you feel it, that's all that matters. Like look at movies and look at like Godzilla minus one. Like look at their small budget and look how great it looked and look at the how people enjoyed it so much compared to like some of the newer like Marvel type movies or not new, but like, that same time frame where it's like, look at the money spent on those, and it's like, it was kind of losing steam. And then Godzilla minus one was like everyone just loved it so much, and on this like minuscule budget, like in comparison, like video games are the same way.
Oh, I
That's
think
it.
Godzilla minus one is a great
Yeah.
example. Money attached doesn't always equal out to the quality.
No,
It's the work put in, how it's done, the people behind us are gonna better influence the quality product. But that's not how these
Mhm.
companies always look at it. They equate with, oh, this got a high budget, this better be successful just because we pump money into it. They're
no.
ignoring the aspects that are truly going to make the game great, and people are going to gravitate to a great game. Word of mouth, I feel, especially in video games, goes a long way, and that's what this game was living off of, is word of mouth, and it's blowing the doors off of everything.
Yeah, I think a big thing to point out too is that you compared to Assassin's Creed Shadows. Shadows also relied heavily on its diversity of playable characters and the storylines that are within it. And that diversity didn't actually play to the story's benefit. It actually clashed with the historical relevance of the thing they're trying to tell, which Assassin's Creed is known for playing with history in a very creative but mostly semi-accurate way. And there was a lot of inaccuracies in that story. They really just wanted to have their, I hate to say it, but DEI moment. While you look at this one of Claire Obscure, and that game has diversity. There's lots of diverse characters, but that's not the thing that they're pushing. They're pushing the actual narrative of the story itself, this idea of, your characters die at a certain age, and they're trying to figure out how not to die. Like that was it like it's supposed to be at 33 or whatever, right? That they die,
Yeah,
I believe.
33 is the new
Yeah,
age, so every
yeah.
year it goes down an age, and everyone that's that age
Yeah, and so
uh,
they're trying to
ends up
find this
dying.
a hopeful cure for this epidemic. Like, that's 33 years. It's not a long time. So it means you have a lot of young people who are just going away left and right, you know? So I think there's an intriguing story there. That's what they're pushing. That and the gameplay that like you said, they were fans of Final Fantasy, and it shows. I've watched a lot of the gameplay for this game because I know that my wife would love this kind of stuff. She still likes turn-based games, and everything about it looks like you can see what it's taking inspiration of, but you can also see where it's trying to do its own thing. There's a lot of also just like real-time actions that you had to do, so it's not just turn-based. There's also a lot of like you got to be quick on the reaction of like to parry a move and stuff like that, which you don't typically see in a turn-based RPG. So like they're trying new things, and graphically it looks amazing. Like it's if you were told that this was a AAA game, you'd believe it because of how it looks, but it's not. It's actually barely a AA game, and they're just producing at such a high level because of that care, because of the enthusiasm they have for the story they wanted to tell.
And they did it with a team uh of 30 consistent, and then of course they, had some temporary workers outside of that.
Yeah,
But a 30 person consistent team, they were able to do this and pull it off. And it shows you, this is a company made up of artists, not executives,
exactly.
and what they
Hmm.
were able to do. Because I feel, and I'm sure you guys agree, with video games, with movies, with TV shows, when the artists are in charge of the vision and have final say in the vision, I feel you end up with a better product than when executives are in control or meddling within these. And we see it across the industry.
You can tell when the executives have their hands in it more when it feels more like Assassin's Creed. You say it was more DEI because they're checking off boxes instead of focusing on the actual story and like the passion and the care behind the game. And it totally breaks immersion because you're like, well, this isn't what Assassin's Creed actually is about, and then you can feel like the executives and their hands in it and the DEI stuff, and it breaks the immersion, then you lose like the whole passion, and you just can't get into the game. It doesn't matter how much money you spend on it, like you say. And video game players, we're passionate people, and we feel the care. That's what we look for, and like you look for the people who made this actually appreciate video games and love video games. It's not just like you say the executives with their hands in it, because you can feel what their dirty, grubby little hands in it when they you can feel it all over.
And I feel just because, it's a thing that I love. I'm putting it in perspective when it comes to food. Like I feel
Yes.
one is McDonald's, your deliver in boxes frozen burgers that you just kind of throw up there in the microwave. You do there, and it's like it's okay, but you know what you're getting. You're getting frozen burgers. There's no effort put into that. Compared to if you go to a place where, they're getting the ground beef and they're shaping those burgers and then they're cooking those fresh for you and there's a bigger dedication, more hard work going into that. What's going to be the better burger? That's why even when you're comparing one of these fast you say, hey, that's pretty good for a fast food place. You can't say that's a great burger because it's never going to compare to the one that they put in the time and the work to do it. So I'm not sure if
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense, but I think in food terms. I think in food terms.
Yeah. No, it definitely does. I'd even say like in a more recent situations, Mission Impossible Final Reckoning just came out recently. As of we're talking about this as recent, when we put this out, we'll see what happens. But either way, the Tom Cruise production, and when you go into the theater to watch that movie, the first thing you see after the trailers is Tom Cruise talking to the audience. And he's, talks about the amount of work that they put into this thing and how it was for us, the people who pay to watch these movies. And he's just giving his appreciation to the fact that we took the time out of our day and out of our budget to put it towards them and the artistry that they created, and like you don't get to see that often, from a creator who's just out there thanking the people that he's making the art for. And when he talks about the movie, it's not his movie, it's our movie. Like this is a man who believes so much in the craft and the people who put it together. When he talks about this stuff, he talks about the whole everything from the cameras to the boom operator to the person who's serving the craft service table. Like this is someone who truly cares about it so much that whether if this movie cost $1,000 to make to $500 million to make, he's putting in that same care and attention to it. And that's where the money doesn't matter. The care, that's what matters. And if you can get that kind of person behind any kind of art, you're always going to be satisfied, no matter what.
Since we're already on there within the video game industry and the greed that comes with it, moving away from the actual like creation of the game and all of that aspect, something else that's been in the news lately, it's been popping up here and there since last year. So Ubisoft, staying with them, they're getting sued. They're getting sued. To give everyone a background of one of what the lawsuit is, and I believe the lawsuit is in California, George,
Okay.
but allegedly Ubisoft misled purchasers of their game. The game is a racing game called The Crew
Oh, yes.
into believing they were purchasing ownership rights of the game. You go to the store, you buy a game, it's yours, it's your game. Basically, what happened is Ubisoft shut down the game's servers for this game for The Crew. They did it about 10 years later, but they shut it down. It was less time from when they bought it because they didn't buy it initially when it came out. And since this game has no offline mode or anything, it became useless. During the lawsuit, Ubisoft responded by saying consumers don't own anything. They're just purchasing limited access to the game, not ownership to the games. So now you have, and this is the question I posed to you guys to see how you feel about it. So, like now, even on this or whatever it is, sometimes the game's not even on there. All that does is unlock the game online, and they're force you a
Mm.
lot of times to play a game online, which they charge you to use your own internets to play these games online through the Xbox service, PlayStation service, and all of that. And literally, what you have is a paperweight these days. It's not like before you can buy, Super Mario Worlds in a cartridge, and to this day you can pop that in and you can still play it. Now you're at the mercy of if they shut down their servers and there's absolutely no offline thing, that's it. That game's gone. It's done forever. You've got a useless piece of hardware in your hands. So how do you guys feel about game ownership and what this is turning into these days compared to, when you guys gamed as a kid and bought games as a kid?
This is one of those things I ran into a lot when I was at GameStop was the constant thing of like we had to be knowledgeable about every game to the point of knowing what game was going to be online use and not. So a lot of times we're getting people, who are not, American or who are not, good with speaking English, and we gotta explain to them. It's like, hey, first of all, do you have internet? Okay, you have internet. Cool. Just so you know, you need internet to play this game at all times. And there's even some situations where it's like, you're buying a case, there's nothing inside here. There's gonna be a piece of paper with a code, and you'll download a game. And that's one of the hardest things to have to explain to somebody. And it makes zero sense. Like, why are we doing like why are you wasting plastic on a case with a piece of paper inside? It makes no sense to me at all. PlayStation has collector's editions that come with download codes and a steel book. It's like, why'd you give me this steel book, but there's no disc? This is a weird direction that they're going in, and the fact that like they're getting more and more games that are online needed, but like it's just a campaign-based game. There's no need for the online, but you have to be in online. You always have an agreement that you have to click on, and that's where they get you. That agreement is where you're signing off like, yeah, okay. You're not reading it. Do you guys read the agreements? Because I know I don't. But
No.
that's where legally they're covered because they're saying like there is no real game. There is
At that
nothing.
time, you've already bought the game. The agreement comes after
Yeah.
Yeah,
purchase.
So
yeah. That's the
yeah.
thing that
So it's like I have no
sucks.
choice.
Yeah, like
I have no
I
choice to say
paid
yes.
$70. I want to play this goddamn game. Yeah, it makes no sense. It's such an annoying thing. It's why I still love Nintendo so much because their cartridges, as long as you get a cartridge game, if you're getting Just Dance 2030 or whatever, it's gonna be a download code. But if you like you said, you want to play Mario, thank God it's still on a cartridge. I don't have to be online, you
Not
know.
anymore. Not with the Switch too.
Well, that's true. Yeah, they're gonna be changing that around.
Yeah, see?
Switch one, Switch. Well, no, there will be cartridges for Switch 2 too, but there will be select games that will be switching over to codes, you know. But that cartridge is still better than the disc. For some reason, the disc model is still they're leaning into that online thing where if you're not online, then you don't have a game. And then like something like this can happen where servers get shut down, you really don't have a game. Look at the Friday the 13th game and the limbo we were in with that situation for a while. You have a great game that if you don't have internet and they shut down a server, then wow, that was a waste of my time and money now.
I'm just getting nauseous, like listening this whole thing, just because all I can hear in my head is you will own nothing and be happy. You will own nothing and be happy. Freaking World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab shit. It's like the whole world, not just video games, is that way. It's like everything they want everyone to rent everything. You don't own any house, land, property. You like your money is all gonna be digital. Blah blah. Like everything is like we're not gonna own anything, and like something like a video game is like what we do in our spare time when we're not being slaves to the freaking cogs in the system of society. And all we want to do is play video games, and we can't even own that. We can't even own our free time anymore. We can't even own like our happiness. It's not doesn't belong to us now. No, not anymore. Ooh, sorry.
You only have a
Okay.
limited license for happiness, Murray.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. I and then you could be happy for a while, but we can take that away from you anytime we want. Oh no, sorry, you actually didn't own it. It wasn't yours to belong like to begin with. And like they did that with okay, they did it with Overwatch 1. I have the disc.
Yeah.
We have the discs. We have two Overwatch 1 discs. We played it almost every single day for like 2 or 3 years. Okay? Then Overwatch 2 came out and the disc no longer worked for Overwatch 1. There is no Overwatch 1 anymore. It's gone. But now you have to do Overwatch 2 things, which is seasons and freaking all this bull crap that I hate. And we haven't played it in like over a year because I'm like, this is not the game that we bought. We bought it, we own it, but we can't play it. They took it away from us. They took it away from us. And I just, it's so sad.
And yeah, and then on top of that, you have these two different formats of physical and digital, and you were gonna charge the exact
Mhm.
same price for it. You're not gaining extra expense off of the digital that you are with the physical copy when you have to create these fake boxes in there. You don't even give us a damn detailed manual anymore like you used to give us in the past. I used to look
Yeah,
forward looking through that booklet and all
I
that. You don't even
know.
give us that, but you're still using up extra money on materials that you don't have to spend with the digital one, and but you're still going to charge them both the same way.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
Yes, that makes no sense. Where does that money go? Like what?
Or you know what's
Oh,
worse? Sometimes the disc is actually cheaper than the digital code.
how?
That's a real annoying thing. I remember seeing like GTA 5, the game that'll never die. All right. It was like $50 digitally to buy, but it was like $20 brand new in the store. And it wasn't a sale either. It was regular price. I was like, what the fuck's going on here? Let's get the disc then at that point. You know what it makes me
That's the
think
thing.
of? A quick
Yeah,
quick side note. Do you guys remember the game Flappy Bird?
yeah,
Remember
for the
that?
phones.
Yeah. And do you remember like how it got taken out of the store? Like I think there was a
Hmm.
licensing situation, or whatever. But as long as you kept it like downloaded on your phone, you'd still have it.
Yeah.
So
People were selling their
I
iPhones
still
for a
have,
thousand dollars.
I don't know if you can see here. Is it show on there at all?
No,
Just
it's
oh
No, it's
black.
wait,
just a,
there you
Oh
go.
wait,
oh
Yes,
there
wait,
we
yes,
what's
yes,
go.
yes,
that?
yes.
I still
Yeah.
Yep.
have Flappy Bird. I have never got
Ooh.
I keep it on every phone that I get. So like when I get a new phone, I just transfer all of my apps and everything to the new phone because it's Samsung, you know.
Yeah.
So I've had Flappy Bird since the beginning. This has survived like 7, 8 phones at this point.
Ownership.
Yeah. And it's like I'm
Yeah.
never
Oh,
just it's just for just I don't even play the game anymore. It's just out of pure
no.
rebellion. It's we're
Well,
just like
it's like
I'm gonna keep this game.
it's an ancient tome. That's what
Yeah.
it is. It's like it's an artifact now. This is like a digital artifact you need to
100
keep.
years from now, that phone's gonna be found. They're like, Flappy Bird?
The ancient texts.
Oh, I remember when they took that off and people
Yeah.
were on eBay selling their iPhones for like $1,000 because it had Flappy Bird
Yeah.
on it and people were buying it. Well, we've been doing a lot of ranting on video games. Let's get off video games. And the last topic that I have here is go movie related, just because I promised it at the beginning. Uh, so there was an interview, this was a few months ago, I believe, with Florence Pugh, where she was talking about, and I know everyone here, I believe, is a fan of Midsummer, and especially her performance with Midsommar. But she basically says she's not likely to do a role like that again, and she's consciously avoided any roles that might have been presented to her that were similar. And a part of that is because of the how much she abused herself during that role. And she says it has nothing to do with the director or anyone in there. Everyone was great. The environment of their stuff. This was all self-inflicted for that character to be able to pull out that performance. She pretty much engaged in self-inflicted mental torture. She thought thoughts that weren't real things, but she thought things that was just really dark to just like really pull those emotions in order to do that role. That with a role like that, she after she was done filming, she was broken for a while. She kind of had to like piece herself back together, and she that's something that she doesn't want to go through again. And we've heard of other actors, the lengths that, Heath Ledger is one of the first ones that come to mind on that self-inflicted torture to play a tortured character and the effect that that can have on you. Fortunately for Florence, it didn't have the very, sad, tragic ending. So it's good that she's recognizing that beforehand that, that isn't healthy for her. But what are your thoughts on that, Marie?
First of all, I just have to give Florence Pugh love because I love her so much. And if I had a movie biopic about me, I would have her play me right down to the goose honk laugh. She is like the every her love of food, every behind the scenes interview. She is just, I just love her. I adore Florence Pugh, her personality, her acting, yes, but also I'm just like, can we be friends, please? And it would just be like goose honk after goose honk and food and cheese and wine. And I just wish we could hang out. Anyway, she'll never see this, but hit me up, please. But to see how she is in real life, to see like to how she is in Midsummer, like I can't imagine like that must have taken a toll on her because it's a complete night and day to like how her personality seems to be. I'm not an actress by any means. I'm terrible. I don't know how actors do it. Um, I can't fake being happy when I'm sad, and I can't fake sadness when I'm happy because I'm just, I can't do it. So I don't know how they do it. I can't even imagine the mental toll it takes. I don't know how you could be in such character and then crawl out of it and be normal afterwards. Like I don't get it. So I can definitely see how uh it affects some people more than others. Maybe some people are more sensitive to other people, but um, I think that it's smart and you're putting yourself first before like the industry, before money, before anything. If you're like, nah, I can't do a role like that anymore. And you're willing to pass up a paycheck, a big fat paycheck, and like fame and everything because of your own mental health. I'm like, do it. I mean, we have
Yep.
Midsummer, but at what cost, you know? So
Yeah.
And she still loves
yeah.
it. She says she
Yes.
doesn't regret doing the role
No.
and she's happy with it. It's just more like never
Hmm.
again. So
Yeah, because it takes a lot of strength to crawl out of that state on normal days, but like to put yourself through that and you almost have to trick your brain to feel that way, to be such like to be in character that much and for that length of time, like for filming. I don't even know what that'd be like to try to crawl out of that. So yeah, I'd say yeah, I'm all for actors choosing their roles. Just like there's actors who choose not to like, have love scenes with other people if they're married and they lose out on tons of stuff too. And I'm like, good for you. Like that's a choice for yourself and you're a person first before you're like an actor or a fame or for fame. And I admire it.
Yeah, I guess like I have a lot of respect for actors who are willing to go that far, whether it's emotionally or physically and everything like that. But it's also smart to just step back. When you mentioned that, the first actors I thought of was Evan Peters when he played Dahmer, because he brought a similar thing too, where like it brought him to a very dark place that he'd never wanted to like visit. He's glad he took it on, but he never wanted to take it on again. Like it was just like it brings you to being a person that you don't want to be. It's good for the role, but not good for your personal life. And then I just thought of also, I guess three people, because I thought of Joaquin Phoenix and Christian Bale and what they do for their, transitions. They don't just mentally, but they're physically putting themselves through such a physical toll. And we talk about revisiting. Joaquin Phoenix did the Joker twice, you know, and one time it was worth it because he got an Oscar and the movie was praised, but then he did it again for a movie that was not received as well. And as an actor, then you got a question. It's like, well, was it worth it? Should I have done that
Mhm.
then? Should I put myself to that physical and mental turmoil for an outcome that really didn't pay off the way we were hoping it would? So for her to have the wherewithal to like, you know what? I did it. It was awesome. I got to experience something different. It pushed me to a new level in a place in my career. I don't have to do that again. I
Mhm.
could try different things now, And it's not that she's
Yeah.
not trying other emotional things that are pushing her to different levels and different limits. Because like that movie she just did with Andrew Garfield was also very taxing in a different way, you know. So like we can always still expect amazing things from her, but just not to an extent
Mhm.
where it might, push her to a more depressing place in her life.
yeah, and I definitely have a big respect. Even just you guys covered a lot of that aspect, but even just like on the technical aspect of it, through the years of like theater and the little projects and stuff that I've like done, there was a role once that I did that it took a toll on me. I had to go places from it. But it was a little bit different. And this was for a 1 day like stage show. I pulled from personal experiences. Got the shovel and, I dug up things that I had already dealt with in the past and brought them back to the forefront to be able to kind of feel what I needed to feel for this character. It was for a play called Mud Tracks, to be able to do that. And, it after that was a one night show. Afterwards, I was still feeling some of the effects of it because I dug up so many like personal things again. I had to kind of like re-heal from those things that I had already like covered. Um, the respect that comes from this technically, the technical aspect from Florence Pugh is that, I pulled from personal stuff. So it's things I had already felt. The fact that like she pulled things out of nowhere. She was pulling things, not things that she was experiencing. She was making up things, and shows the power of her mind that she was able to make up things that weren't happening and still have it have such a profound effect on her, where she was feeling those legit emotions from situations that weren't legit or real. So that speaks a lot to like the strength of her mind. So I think it's a good thing that she's able to recognize this, because if her mind is so strong to have that effect over things that she didn't weren't from situations she actually went through and felt, just imagine if she were to pull from things that were actually personal situations. It could be an even elevated effect from that, which wouldn't be healthy. So there's a respect on the technical aspect that I have for her, that she was able to do that. I don't know if I can personally do that. I had to pull from personal experience. Couldn't just make things up and then feel the things. She was able to do that. But then again, as you guys mentioned, the respect of the self-recognition, not putting the career in front of her own. We live in a world right now where it's gotten better, but mental health isn't in the forefront as it should be at this point in time. So when you have someone like that who's willing to put it out there, and not put it out there in the woe is me and like feel bad for me thing, and more of like, no, I appreciate it. This is what I felt. I'm taking the steps to do me and make sure I'm healthy and I'm good and I'm all of that. That's such a good example. So I respect it on the technical aspect and on the human aspect.
Yeah, something to add on to what you're talking about, like the mental health stuff. Like with movies nowadays, we have intimacy coordinators on set for everything. I don't ever really hear about like therapy coordinators of sorts. I mean, like for roles that are really taxing like that, where you're really pushing yourself to an emotional and mental limit. You don't hear about them having someone on there, like almost like with an officer, after they go through like a heavy case, they'll
Mhm.
have, a therapy session to make sure like you're okay. You shot someone yesterday. Are you in a
Yeah.
good place? There's always that
Yeah.
situation for an officer. So, I'm not saying that being an actor is like being a cop, but we've seen actors who push themselves to a certain place where they end up not lasting much longer. You know what I mean? Or even musicians,
Hmm.
they're the same situation, you know. I'm surprised we don't hear about something like that being put into like the normal like setting for them, like some kind of therapist, some kind of mental help on set.
It's something they
Hmm.
probably have to seek on their own.
Probably, yeah.
I'm not sure if you guys have heard the story. I forget her name. There was the actress in Game of Thrones. She's also in Ted Lasso
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
there. There's a scene in there where she is tortured. She's pretty much uh, chained to a table. The other character is pouring wine onto her face, and in essence waterboarding her. But this was done over a lot of takes, and it was done in a matter where she was legit being waterboarded, and the director just kept kind of like going. Even the actress that was doing the pouring was getting like nervous in it. But this had a traumatic effect on her, where after she finished filming, she had to go seek therapy. Like showering was a problem for her because she was having that PTSD, just feeling the water on her face. And she said it took her, I believe, over a year to kind of like recover from that. But again, she had to seek that on her own. It's not something, to your point, George, that I feel production kind of keeps in mind when it comes to this, where it was like, okay, we got to make sure that they're all mentally good. Can we help them turn this off? So maybe that might be something in the future if more actors speak out in there that might have to be included within this. So yeah.
Mm. I think it's a no-brainer, really. They should.
Yeah. It's the
Yeah.
equivalent of like, a physical therapist for a football player.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for joining us for this episode of Not a Strong Start. If you enjoyed this episode and want to catch any of our previous episodes as well as future episodes, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button if you want to be alerted when we drop future episodes. If you didn't enjoy this episode, well, maybe some of our other ones will be better for you. You can find us on any of the other platforms such as Spotify and Apple or wherever else podcasts are found. If you love all our sterling personalities or you just want to hate follow us, you can find us at Not a Strong Star on all the major media platforms. As always, we might not have a strong start, and honestly, I can't guarantee a strong finish. But until next time, I was your host for this episode, inspired by real fruit flavors.
And I was your other guy. Start spreading the news.
How do I follow that? I'm Palandria. Keep singing, George.
Palandria.
Don't cry for
Very
me.
good.
And with that, a musical
Uh,
number, we leave you until next time.